one big bullet point I should say is like, do not forget EQ. It's great that you're smart, but you've got to be able to communicate and you've got to be able to pull everybody in the same direction. You've got to be able to persuade. You've got to be able to show empathy. You've got to be able to listen. I can't stress it enough.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Marty, the Vice President of Revenue Operations and Marketing at LHP. LHP is a leading name in automotive engineering services and OEM systems across a large myriad of applications. Today, we're going to dive in with Marty and understand how his team are creating impact, scaling growth, and really shaping the future of solutions and automotive OEMs and suppliers. Marty, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So I guess can you share with us, for people who are hearing about LHP for the first time, what do you guys actually do and who do you help?
Yeah, we're for automotive, aerospace, and other industrial application industries that are neck deep in building embedded software and systems development for safety critical devices. LHP delivers consulting, training, software development, systems engineering, in addition to some other services. I work for LHP Inc., which is the top level, if you will, holding company that has stake in several P&Ls, BUs, and companies. So I also support an engineering capacity firm by the name of LER TechForce, as well as a digital transformation consulting firm by the name of LHP Analytics and IoT. And then we've also launched a startup recently. So very busy.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have your hands in multiple different verticals. Where's most of your growth coming from right now?
From a geography standpoint, certainly in the States. From an employee standpoint, we're branching out into both nearshore and offshore delivery mechanisms. So we've recently launched some offices in Mexico, and then we've just recently launched a technology hub in Bucharest, Romania.
Interesting. And for what branch or services are you seeing like the most revenue growth from right now?
Certainly on the engineering capacity side, we're seeing a lot of return demand and organic growth, as well as other opportunities for growth.
Yeah. So I'm sure you might have guessed by the name of the show, RevGenAI. We focus a lot of times on how leaders like yourself are actually generating revenue with AI. And so I'm curious how an organization of your size, how are you guys using AI in business today, if at all?
Well, we've moved perhaps beyond the simple use of like generative AI, LLM usage. And I would say across the board, most everybody is now either building, already using, or about to build and use agents. So I'm not sure that we're at the multi-agent level yet, but we certainly want to be, we consider ourselves and we want to be AI forward in everything that we do. Also, as part of our delivery and services, we want to make sure that AI is capitalized on as much as we can where it makes sense. But from a company standpoint, we're implementing it across the entire go-to-market. So certainly marketing, sales, and customer service are all neck deep. I will say that, as any company starts to implement, there's always the growing pains, if you will, of how to do it safely, how to make sure that our data is protected, how to make sure that the right access is granted, when and where it needs to be granted. the good thing about my role specifically is most of what I'm using AI for is public knowledge, right? It's already publicly found on the website, um, and so I haven't really had the opportunity yet to connect any meaningful private data. And so, but I know that's ahead of us, and it'll be something that we'll have to work as a team, including our security team, IT team, and all of our operations team.
Yeah, I think it's shaking everything up in every industry right now, and not just in one function of the business. It can be applied to every single function of the business. And that exact shift of going from generative AI into more of agentic use cases is exactly like what we've also gone through. Um, and yeah, it can be an interesting experience, just like having to figure out these way of completely changing your paradigm into how you do work nowadays is completely different. I'm wondering if you can like chunk down a little bit and explain a little bit more of some use cases that you guys have seen specifically in marketing or sales, for example.
Well, on the marketing side, the first use cases that we were able to use successfully just as around what I would say some lower level content generation. So don't want to necessarily start pointing fingers at certain engines, but Claude and GPT have both been really good at creating press releases, some low level blog content. I would say when I say low level, I mean not really technical, or not too technical. Another use case that we've had surprisingly success with is designing an entire trade show booth and all the trimmings inside of Claude, with probably a minimum or a maximum, I should say, of maybe 20 prompts back and forth, which blew my mind. And it was an international with, international specs, if I can just put it that way. And Claude was able to handle all that just magnificently. And I would say that from a boots on the ground standpoint, it was probably the best feedback that I've received from a sales team. And it was all designed and implemented and curated through Claude. So those are some initial examples. I would say we're also looking to maximize the AI that's already built into some of the platforms and our technology stack that we already have and that we've already invested in. So we're a HubSpot shop, and we want to make sure that all the AI that they're building into their platform, we're taking advantage of it. They have a tool named Breeze that we've been using for some time now, and we're constantly talking to our rep to make sure that we're getting the most value out of their built-in AI tools. Looking forward, some of the things that we want to make sure we're doing a better job of using AI is around lead scoring and lead enrichment. And so that's kind of on the docket for what's next. With regards to sales, I think it's the best use case so far has been around sales preparation and making sure that the sales team members are as prepared as they can be, as quickly as they can be, for the sales meetings that we're generating. And so there's been a lot of, again, LLM generative, successful use cases around how to use those tools for just sales preparation.
Yeah, I think those are two really interesting use cases, specifically the one that you mentioned about designing a booth at an event and that getting even more positive feedback from your team. That's really cool. The thing about it that I see more is AI really isn't a threat. It's just and it's not going to be a replacement. You can't prompt something that you don't know. So you being able to create that use case is not something that anybody else can replicate. And I think it's going to come down to just continuous domain expertise and being able to actually focus on what actually going to deliver the business outcome that you want, as opposed to just, we can think up a million ideas of what we could do now with AI, and it's very fun and entertaining to play with. But a lot of times I think it's also taking like a little bit more prioritization. And so I'm curious really about like what really is winning attention for you guys, because like this is our focus. You mentioned events, which is it's always a tried and true strategy, but like, what do you see works best when it comes to winning attention and starting conversations with the right buyers?
Like any other business, it's around making sure that that we understand clearly what our product market or service market fit is, and that we're communicating that to an audience that has the right type of pain point at the right time. So I can't say enough about how important it is for any organization, in our case, service market fit, but if you're a product company, to have the right product market fit, and to make sure that the marketing, the SDR, the pre-sales, the sales, and the customer account and account management team are all on board with what that product market fit or service market fit is. I would say, maybe something I can leave behind for your audience, is the biggest issues I ran into over the past 25 years is when, even obviously predating AI, is when organizations get out of whack on that service market or product market fit. As far as what's winning, if you're asking from a lead source perspective, I'm not sure if that's the route you were going with that question. But we continue to have great success with some of the traditional channels that every company listening to this podcast is currently using. We also are having some major difficulties with some of the obvious channels that everybody listening to this podcast is perhaps experiencing, especially in B2B. And for those of you who haven't picked it up by now, I'm certainly living in a B2B world. In my case, I'll give kind of an example of both. In my case, from a what's really turned into an attention getter, right, is we've seen dramatic traffic increase due to this new zero-click world that we're living in. And we're scrambling to figure out what to do. And it's not just A/B test and reverse engineer what we think's happening within a Google algorithm, right? But it's learning different LLMs, it's learning different AI engines. Even Google itself is getting more complex. And I understand, based upon what the CEO of Google said, even in the past week, users that have enjoyed immense traffic from Google, I think they're in for I don't want to say rude awakening, but they're in for a wild ride over the next 2 or 3 years, because Google itself is turning into a massive AI engine. It's, the days of the 10 blue links is long gone. I wish it wasn't so, because I used to make a great living with those 10 blue links. It's not that those days are over. So like every other company, not every other, but like a lot of companies, we're experiencing dramatic decrease in overall traffic. And yes, that does end up affecting, demand gen and lead gen. And, we can even see its effect all the way through the pipeline. From what is winning, we are seeing success in targeted SDR outbound activities, which kind of flies in the face of AI, because it's a more personalized, customized communication, more one-to-one. And we're seeing customers and prospects respond to that at a much higher clip than they ever have. It does make me wonder if AI isn't changing the buying behavior in and of itself, either knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously. But I get the sense that buyers and prospects are craving a more human, customized, personalized touch. And when they receive it and when they know it's personalized and customized, they're more apt to respond to it versus when they know something was AI generated or they're just a part of another large, cold outbound email spam list.
So you mentioned the core issue, as it's always been, is service market fit. How you communicate your services, what pain points they're actually answering, that being the number one point that matters above everything else. If you're not answering the market's pains, it's going to be very hard to actually gain traction. But it's interesting that you highlighted that you're seeing that there's, kind of like a counter wave to where people's attention has been already depleted so much by the overwhelm of AI content, AI outreach, everything like that is creating more and more necessity for the human to human contact, right? Like this, there's no replacement for it. And so I guess I'm just curious, like from your perspective, having gone through this adoption curve, having this perspective, especially at the level that you're at and having been in the industry for so long, what do you see companies, getting wrong when it comes to how they approach understanding their service market fit, or how they're using AI to actually, expand their growth?
Well, I don't want to come across as if I have anything figured out. I am still learning a lot of this in real time. And I'm weary of companies or consulting agencies or agents that claim to have the answer. But I can tell you what keeps me up at night and what I'm doing about it. So my first concern with regards to just like AI in general is we don't have the clear understanding of our service market fit across the board of go-to-market, and therefore it's hurting us operationally. But also from an AI perspective, the AI engines, they all have to have an understanding of what our product market fit is. They need to understand explicitly what we say, who we are, and our value prop. And I have a really simple diagram or system, I perhaps should call it, for documenting a value prop for any company, B2B, B2C, B2B2B, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I think it's really important to make sure that, a company has its product market fit understood, its value prop understood, and that it goes back. And this is painful. It's something I've been doing with my team, is going back and saying, okay, this is the go forward about us copy. And now I'm going to go into YouTube, Reddit, Substack, Twitter, X, LinkedIn. I'm going to go into every platform that we have. I'm going to go to all of the old blogs that we've posted that have an about us section that was probably rewritten by some engineer based upon his or her opinion about what we did 3, 4, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm going to go back through and I'm going to update every single about LHP, about my company, about us section. And I'm going to, if you will, kind of cram it down the neck of the LLMs to make sure that if you thought this was who we are, I want you to know this is what we really stand for. This is what we're really doing. Here's the value that we provide. And then we're tracking the changes, right? It's easy to do. You can go into your favorite LLM, ask it to give you its understanding of your current organization, and ask it if it understands who you say you are, right? Does it understand who you say you are? So that process, again, we're working through that in real time. We started that process about a month ago, and I'm already seeing some good success from it. As far as a value prop framework goes, it really starts off with a for statement, which is identifying your target market. And then it gets into a that statement, right? And the that statement is identifying the four target markets pain points. Your company, third statement, right, is um, introducing your unique product or service or company. And then it gets into an unlike statement. So you're calling out the the downfalls, if you will, of what the competition's doing or what's not available to you in the market. And then the last section is basically a quick version of then using a full differentiation statement against the known competition, including even status quo as an option, right? So it's uh, a framework about how people should break down their value prop. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That brings me to really like a question that I'd like to wrap things up with is usually like if you were sitting in front of somebody who is completely new getting into the industry today, what advice would you give them?
so learning sales, learning marketing, learning rev ops, learning go to market, nothing replaces experience. But I do think someone starting out would do themselves a big, big favor if they were to understand the EQ side of their role and the fact that you're not just selling, but you're trying to motivate and persuade someone to buy. So a lot of times I see really smart people come across my office wanting a job, and they have immense IQ and they have um, an EQ that is really behind. I think that EQ would help them not only to understand better how to do their role, but also to further their career as fast as possible. I also think the EQ is a missing component in why most salespeople are unsuccessful. I just posted something on LinkedIn actually this morning about how both, um, you know, the results and um, the features, if you will, of your solution, that those are great, right? Having the receipts to prove that your platform is the best, that's fantastic. But most buyers, especially in sales, marketing, rev ops, and most of the people that we're trying to influence, whether it be an engineering leader or a procurement leader, um, we're all human, and we all need to make sure that we trust the solution, that we have confidence in it, that it's going to lead to the successes that we need, and it's not going to threaten us in any way. So, just one big bullet point, I should say, is like, do not forget EQ. It's great that you're smart, but you've got to be able to communicate and you've got to be able to pull everybody in the same direction. You've got to be able to persuade. You've got to be able to show empathy. You've got to be able to listen. I can't stress it enough. From a technology side, kind of a modern AI stack side, if I had one nugget to leave behind or to give someone, I have a I have three daughters. My youngest two are 21 and 23, and I'm talking to them about this every day. But they need to get into um, these systems, and for me specifically, I'm a Claude guy. I really like Claude. I prefer Claude. Even last night, I for the first time started building out projects, adding knowledge base articles, putting in the .md, .txt files, running queries inside that project, taking a look at the output, going back into the knowledge articles, updating the knowledge articles, running the query again, trying to make sure that the output was exactly what I wanted. I was teasing earlier about getting ready to start agents and multi-agents. I now think, literally as of last night, I now think the best thing I could do for myself and what I would leave for your audience is to learn how to use projects, Claude Code, and reduce their tokenization use inside the AI so that they can actually get things done and build agentic-like processes and systems that can actually deliver.
It's some good feedback, and I'll sum it up from what you said is tap in to the way things are changing now things are changing and evolving every day. I can personally reflect and agree with what you said about how what you discovered last night is informing what you're saying today.
Yeah.
And if I asked you this question a year ago, I'm sure you wouldn't have any clue what Claude Code was or anything of the nature.
Right.
But it's about continuously. What I see it matters more and more is your mindset and how you're looking at the future with excitement and opportunity versus fear. And then also what you're saying a lot of times about the EQ, I think you've put it spot on in this conversation about how when the world gets more digital, more AI, we're going to need to kind of develop our human side to compensate for that, to be able to create the connection that we're going to be craving more and more of. And so if you're able to come into a marketplace and not just, have the best spreadsheet or the best agent, but actually be able to create the human connection, the trust, that's kind of how I'm also seeing my path and the path of RevGenAI as well. But Marty, I want to say thank you for joining the podcast. I'll leave your links below the podcast for anybody who wants to reach out to you. And yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, Mira. Thanks for having me, and appreciate it very much.